Please like my videos, please subscribe to my channel, and please press the bell icon so that you get to know when my latest video has come. And to learn more and to find a video relevant to you, please do check out my videos list.
Hello, Namaskar and Adab to all my friends from your friend astrologer and guide Irfan once more with you from your very own channel Astro Assurance. One of the important questions that is asked is that do Rahu and Ketu get exalted in any sign, and do we have a exalted Rahu or Ketu in our horoscopes? So I have a slightly alternate view of where Rahu or Ketu get exalted in by virtue of the results they give. Now on paper, planets are known that they get exalted in certain signs. However, planets may always not give us the results of exalted planets. Just a few days back, I have made a video about planets giving exalted results and how we can manifest better results from them. Even when they are exalted, yet they are not giving us the results of being an exalted planet. So planet may be placed in a certain sign and called exalted, but not be giving exalted results, great results for us. So planets by virtue of placed in a sign can be called exalted. Now, do Rahu and Ketu get exalted in any sign by virtue of being called out as being exalted in some signs through the astrological texts themselves? And is there enough consistency in the astrological texts about Rahu and Ketu getting exalted? So let's deep dive into it and check whether truly Rahu or Ketu get exalted in any sign, and do you have a placement where Rahu or Ketu could be giving you exalted results. So firstly, where do planets get exalted in? Generally, planets get exalted in signs which are the Mool Trikona signs of other planets, or in a complementary fashion, they also have certain attributes which complement the main attribute of the planet which is getting exalted. Say for example, where does Sun get exalted? Sun gets exalted in the sign of Aries, which is the Mool Trikona sign of Mars. Where does Jupiter get exalted? In the sign of Cancer, which is the Mool Trikona sign of Moon. Where does Mercury get exalted? In Virgo, which is its own Mool Trikona sign. Where does Saturn get exalted? Saturn gets exalted in the sign of Libra, again which is the Mool Trikona sign of Venus. Now Venus gets exalted in the sign of Pisces, which is not the Mool Trikona sign of Jupiter. Mool Trikona sign of Jupiter is Sagittarius. But there is a strong reason why Venus doesn't get exalted in a Mool Trikona sign of Jupiter, but in the other sign of Jupiter. The reason is because Jupiter and Venus, or Brihaspati and Shukracharya, are both gurus, and they are the leaders of the opposite tribes or opposite clans or opposite groups. So one guru cannot be exalted in the Mool Trikona sign of the other guru, and hence Venus gets exalted not in Sagittarius but in Pisces. And that too, from a worldly perspective, Venus gets exalted in Pisces, which stands for the 12th house, natural 12th house, and it is the house of waste and excess. So Venus can give you great results in Pisces by attracting a lot of material benefits, worldly benefits, and then can clog you in the Maya which Venus gives you. However, Venus in Pisces, especially in the 12th house, will also give you a lot of expenses, will force you to live it up, will give you a very, very materialistic life. And so it is not a great placement for Venus to be in Pisces, where the affluence is there, prosperity is surely there, but you get involved in the materialistic life, in the Maya, which doesn't give you moksha. So Venus in the 12th house in Pisces is not a strong attribute towards moksha. In fact, it is the opposite end of moksha, of pulling you away from moksha and making you indulgent in the materialistic life. So Venus surely gets exalted in Pisces, but it is not the best of placements. A best of placements for a planet getting exalted can be seen as Sun, for example, in Aries. Great placement. Why? Because there are complementary energies also, as I said earlier. Sun represents leadership, accountability, and Aries sign, which is the Mool Trikona sign of Mars, and Mars represents being goal oriented. taking responsibility for certain results. So there is complementary energy there. Jupiter, the planet of prosperity, of abundance, very, very supportive planet, and getting exalted in Cancer. Cancer is the sign of moon is a supporting planet. It is a planet of empathy. It is a planet of nourishment. And so Jupiter getting exalted in Cancer is understandable. Then Saturn getting exalted in Libra is also understandable, because Saturn represents commitment, and Libra, the sign of relationships, is about commitment. There cannot be relationship without strong commitment, without strong alignment, without strong partnership. So planets getting exalted in certain signs, there should be complementary energy, or the planet, that sign should also be a Murtrikona sign generally. So if that is the case, then definitely a lot of reasons can be found why a planet is getting exalted in a certain sign. Now there are always outliers, like Mars getting exalted in Capricorn. The reason being, Mars not getting exalted in the sign of Aquarius, which is the Murtrikona sign of Saturn, is because Saturn gets debilitated in the Murtrikona sign of Mars, which is in Aries. So because Saturn gets debilitated in the Murtrikona sign of Mars, which is Aries, so Mars cannot get exalted in the Murtrikona sign of Saturn. It gets exalted in the other sign of Saturn, which is Capricorn. So there is always a reason why a planet can get exalted in a certain sign and not in any other sign, and then there should be complementary energies also. Capricorn is the sign of dedication, commitment, and Mars is about being dedicated to one's goal, being committed to one's goal, and leaving no stone unturned to get your goal, to achieve, even at any cost. And so these are complementary energies. So if one says that Rahu or Ketu get exalted in any sign, then there should be strong reason why Rahu or Ketu get exalted in certain signs, and there should be complementary energies or complementary reasons why Rahu or Ketu get exalted in certain signs. Now, some astrological texts do mention about Rahu getting exalted in Taurus. However, is there enough consistency in various astrological texts which say that? For example, almost all the astrological texts do talk about Jupiter getting exalted in Cancer. But why don't same number of books, if not more, talk about Rahu getting exalted in Taurus? Now there is a reason why there is a question mark of Rahu being exalted in Taurus. And there are more reasons why Rahu cannot be exalted in Taurus rather than to the contrary. What are the reasons? Taurus is the natural sign of the second house. The second house is the house of family. How can you relate Rahu to family? Secondly, the second house is about your principles, the values, and your family values, the principles of the tribe that you have born into. Rahu is contrary to principles and values. Rahu does not believe in any principles and values, lest leave alone your family's principles and values. Thirdly, the second house which Taurus represents is also the sign of dependence, the family in which you are born. Rahu is not about the family in which you are born. Rahu is about in a family where you may be a surrogate child, or maybe an adopted child, or being a foster child, but definitely not a biological child of a certain family. So Rahu's relation with or association with Taurus is very, very limited, because most of the things that Taurus represents can be related to family and traditions and values and principles. The only relation which you can have some sort of a complementary energies between Taurus and Rahu is about being a materialistic planet also. Rahu is very, very supremely materialistic, and Taurus is a money sign. However, Taurus's money sign is not about so much about greed. Taurus being the sign of money is about your livelihood, your saving, your earnings. And when the second house is the sign of both, Taurus is the sign of both principles and values and livelihood. So the zodiac is saying that your earnings, your livelihood, your savings should all be through principles and values. And hence the association of Rahu with Taurus is very, very limited. Secondly, Rahu is the planet of supreme expansion, huge explosions, and so it can be related more to a fire sign like an Aries or a Leo or even Sagittarius. rather than a sign which is that of a earth sign, which is that of Taurus. So the relationship between Rahu and Taurus, even from that perspective, is very, very limited. Thirdly, Rahu and Ketu are mathematical points. These are not physical entities. So the challenge of Rahu getting exalted in Taurus is not easily demonstrated. So assuming just because one or two books which are outliers talking about Rahu in Taurus getting exalted and taking that for granted will not be right. On the other hand, Rahu in Taurus will definitely give you a greed for money, will give you greed for materialistic gains and more through livelihood. So the person may push the boundaries and want better results. However, if you don't get good results, then Rahu in Taurus can also make you very, very frustrated, very, very error prone and full of taking high risks to get more earnings. Some people may succeed in that, but some people may also be brought down on their knees. And so Rahu and Taurus can in fact be a very, very tricky placement and definitely not a placement of getting exalted results. When you talk about exalted results, it should almost be a given that if the planet is placed in its exaltation sign with no blemishes in the Kendra or the trine houses, then the planet to a large extent should give you great results if you also carry yourself with the personality, with the characteristics of the particular planet in that sign. So the characteristic of Rahu in Taurus is more about gains in livelihood through any means, whereas Taurus is the sign of principles and values. So there is less of complementary energies between Rahu and Taurus, so there is less chance that Rahu gets exalted in Taurus. On the other hand, when I say do you have a exalted or Rahu or Ketu in your horoscope, what do I mean? I mean when Rahu can give you excellent results. Firstly, we know that only two planetary entities, which is Sun and Moon, do not lose in the planetary war. Yet these two luminaries do get eclipsed by Rahu and Ketu. So which means there is less chance of any sign or any planet influencing Rahu and Ketu either positively or negatively. On the other hand, Rahu and Ketu overshadow other planets. However, only in one instance I have seen that Rahu can give you excellent results, and usually this happens when Rahu is placed in a trine house or in an Upacha house and under the aspect of two benefics. Then I have seen Rahu generally give you excellent results. If Rahu is in conjunction with benefics, then it spoils the nature of the results that benefic. However, if Rahu is under the aspect of benefics, especially the seventh aspect, where Rahu does not have a seventh aspect, then Rahu completely comes under the influence of benefics and tends to give you great results. As long as it is not in any dosha, it is not under any negative conjunction or negative aspect. So if Saturn is not aspecting Rahu, Saturn is not placed with Rahu, no other benefic is placed or malefic is placed with Rahu, Rahu is placed alone and under the seventh aspect of any of the four benefic planets, the Jupiter or Moon or Venus or Mercury, and if there are two benefics aspecting Rahu with the seventh aspect, then Rahu tends to give you very, very good results also, especially if Rahu is placed in the trine houses, 5th and the 9th house, or the Upacha houses, which is the 3rd house, 6th house, 10th house and the 11th house. So unless you have Rahu, which is a standalone placement in any of these particular houses and in a friendly sign, not in a tough sign like either a Scorpio or a fiery sign like Aries, or in a watery sign like for example in Cancer, then Rahu can tend to give you very, very good results if there are two benefic aspects on Rahu, the seventh aspect of these benefic planets. Then you can get excellent results. Of course, you will have to put in the hard work and you will have to also ensure that you don't go the unethical path. Then Rahu can tend to give you good results, excellent results, to an extent you can even say exalted results. However, if Rahu, by virtue of just being placed in Taurus, you are assuming that Rahu will give you excellent results, then you can check how many people you know who have Rahu and Taurus, and check whether these people are very affluent within the family. Don't look up the internet, you get only celebrity examples. Of course, celebrities usually will have a lot of money, so that doesn't cut the grass. What cuts the grass is about where you see 10 commoners who have Rahu and Taurus, and all of them have got excellent results. If that is not the case, then the case for Rahu getting exalted in Taurus is very weak. However, you will find that if Rahu is placed in the trine houses or in the Upachaya houses as a standalone planet with no negative aspect or conjunction on it, and it is under the aspect of two benefics, to a large extent you will find, if no other strong doshas are involved, then such a person will definitely get fantastic results out of Rahu placed in trine houses and under the aspect of benefics. On the other hand, because Rahu's case is itself weak, Ketu's case is even weaker, that Ketu gets exalted in any sign. The result being Ketu is a planet of negation. Whichever sign Ketu is placed with, or whichever planet Ketu is placed with, Ketu tends to absorb all the energies of those of the sign and of that planet. So there is no point of Ketu giving you excellent results or exalted results. The only exaltation that I see from Ketu is where Ketu can make you somebody who tends to give up everything for a worldly cause and for others, and through that you move up the realm, spiritual elevation happens and you move more towards moksha. Other than that, there is no strong exaltation results from Ketu that I can see of or I can talk about. So friends, don't assume just by some astrological text talking about the exaltation of Rahu or Ketu and jumping to conclusions. You will get very rarely some examples where Rahu has truly given excellent results in Taurus, or Ketu has given excellent results either in a Scorpio sign, or some people even call it Sagittarius. So be careful whenever you jump to conclusions without adequate proof, or just by looking at one astrological text just because you have Rahu and Taurus. I know we want to clutch onto straws also whenever we feel that going is not been easy for us, and so if you find even one supporting thing which gives us some hope, we want to clutch on that. However, it is always best to be realistic and be more pragmatic and more practical rather than live in a fool's paradise. So friends, with that, please like this video, share this video, and if you're looking for a personal consultation for me, please reach out to me at the links given below. Until some other time with some other video, this is your friend, astrologer and guide Irfan signing off.